This is Steve Young for the Co Roundtable. I've been reflecting the last day or so on responsibility, the origin of our work in the Co Roundtable, moral capitalism. Now people are talking about stakeholder capitalism. We're talking about ESG, environment, society, and government. It used to be corporate social responsibility, before that business ethics. But what is responsibility? Or to be more precise, who should be responsible and for what? Now, my background a number of years ago was as a lawyer and a law professor. I did not teach torts, or sort of the subject of negligence, but I took the course and I read stuff on it. And the common law in England and America, Canada and Australia, has evolved a lot of complexity as to just who's responsible for what. One of the things that happened in the United States about companies and culture was the opioid crisis, the opioid epidemic, where a lot of people who tended to be poor, maybe more on the margins of the socioeconomic hierarchy based on wealth, began taking opioid pills. Dozens and dozens, hundreds and hundreds, and many, many fatalities. Now the question comes, who's responsible for allowing them, giving them access to, prescribing them, issuing them opioid pills? The pattern seems to be, in many cases, it wasn't sort of criminal activity, which you might have with fentanyl or heroin or things like that, but they could get these pills from pharmacies. And pharmacies would fill out prescriptions legally signed, appropriately signed by doctors. So we've had some conversation, is who is responsible? The doctor, the pharmacist, the patient? What's the role for supervision, for regulation? Should there be investigation of doctors? A number of states, state governments in the United States, who had to pay out a lot of money, medical care, care for incapacitated people, things like this, decided that the dispensaries, two sets of people were responsible: the makers of pills, companies, private sector companies in a free market, and pharmacies, and big companies like Walmart, which has pharmacies. And lawsuits were brought based on theories of responsibility. Now, some of the big pharmaceutical companies who make them, they agreed to pay money into a fund to the different states in order to avoid litigation. Just today, I read that Walmart, a major corporation, has agreed to pay $3.1 billion to these different states to reimburse them for their expenses because their pharmacies dispensed opioid pills. But my question is, it's a legal intersection with capitalism, with moral capitalism. If I, as a doctor, have a legal right to issue a prescription, who are you to question my judgment? Now, my problem is if I'm a doctor and I issue a prescription for, I've heard of these cases, 900 opioid pills, that seems to me is poor judgment on my part. But should I not be disciplined by the medical profession for a violation of medical ethics? Similarly with pharmacists. I'm a pharmacist. Somebody comes in with a prescription signed by a doctor whom I recognize is legally licensed to be a doctor or a medical clinic or something, and it's a prescription for 900 opioid pills. Now, presumably as a pharmacist, I know about opioid pills, and I'm not stupid. I know that nobody needs 900 opioid pills, right? They're going to sell them, or whatever it is going to be destructive of the common good. But on the other hand, the law gives me the authority to issue, medicine based on a prescription. Does my responsibility now step into the place of the doctor's responsibility? I'm not sure we have really clear answers to all this, and I think we need that. My feeling is mixed. On the one hand, I think people should be able to rely on the law. If the law gives me authority to do something, I should then be able to do it. On the other hand, as an independent actor with a conscience of my own, with a mind of my own, do I not have some sort of extra legal responsibility to assure myself that no harm is being done.